Awakening is the tender promise, a door to a life beyond the noise. But Carl Jung saw the quiet truth. Most souls turn back at the threshold, too afraid to let go of the self they've always known. Tonight we sit with that trembling, the part of us that clings to the familiar, even when it no longer fits. Because spiritual growth is not a gentle drift, but a shedding of skin, an unmaking of who you were. And in that space, the soul learns that the hardest lesson is also the most freeing. To be reborn, you must first let yourself die. Let us embark on a journey deep within, where the boundaries between the known and the mysterious gently dissolve. The quest for enlightenment draws us away from the mundane, from the aches of our human existence, toward an elusive glimpse of peace and power. Yet Carl Jung gently whispers that true transformation is birthed not in comfort, but in the embrace of discomfort, those shadows we so often flee. We find ourselves entangled in a yearning to transcend our burdens, seeking not merely arrival at a tranquil summit, but a departure from the tempest of our inner chaos. The allure of spiritual awakening often captivates with its promise of seraphic serenity, an ascent to realms untouched by the trials of mortal life. But is this truly an ascent, or does it mask a descent into a more profound engagement with the raw core of our being? The voyage begins here amidst Jung's wisdom, seeking to unveil the illusory comfort of enlightenment. Through this unfolding tale, we are invited to confront life's unfinished symphony, sometimes discordant, yet imbued with potential for growth. Ah, the enticement of a path unscarred by pain. How easy it is to be drawn to the idea of an existence where suffering has no place. Who among us wishes to face their turmoil, or to feel the sting of discomfort etched in our bones? Yet in pursuing awakening as sanctuary, we risk ensnarement by a mirage of peace, rather than a sincere exploration of the psyche's labyrinthine depths. Jung gently reminds us that enlightenment is not an evasion, but an encounter, a willingness to sit with pain and find its hidden teachings. Each step away from life's inherent struggles hooks the soul in elusive stationary cycles. Enlightenment, we come to see, is woven into the fabric of suffering, not perched beyond its reach. As this truth reshapes our quest, we journey toward acceptance, engaging with the fullness of reality, embracing both harmony and discord in life's enigmatic symphony. The notion of spiritual awakening brims with visions of profound personal power, a masterful control over oneself, a transcendence of limitations. This vision is indeed alluring. Yet Jung reveals that true power nestles not in dominion, but in the sacred embrace of humility and vulnerability. In this quiet dance of light and shadow, power emerges in the paradoxes accepted, the ego's desire to command surrendered. Enlightenment invites us to relinquish control, to see power not as domination, but as an ally in our soul's journey to wholeness. Many seekers are enthralled by the seductive promise of instantaneous transformation, envisioning a sudden eruption of clarity, as if enlightenment were a single, radical event. Yet these enchanting ideals fade beside the truth. A slow alchemy urged by Jung, where soul-profound change presses forth through patience and persistent reflection. Immediate transformation, sought as a destination, often bypasses the nuanced process of integration, a process that calls for humble patience as we align the self's intricate layers. Discouragement may eclipse seekers as reality burgeons with perseverance's toil. Yet it's this commitment to evolution, not speed, which enriches the path. The call of enlightenment frequently emerges from a yearning to escape the confines of ordinariness. Daily life, repetitive and seemingly insignificant, can indeed become burdensome. Yet, as Jung weaves his wisdom, he reveals that the ordinary blooms with spiritual significance, offering insights hidden in plain sight. In sidestepping the mundane, one overlooks the hidden lessons nestled within life's rhythms. Spiritual awakening does not detach from routine, but sees divinity within the everyday canvas. This art of awareness transforms the quest into one of deeper engagement, embracing the ordinary as a source of profound awakening. Amidst our quest, mystical experiences arise, casting brief glimpses into realms beyond. These moments of transcendent consciousness offer a validating taste of higher truths. Yet fixating on them as benchmarks can sway seekers from a more grounded, continuous path. For Jung, such moments, while sublime, are components within a fuller path toward wholeness. Their allure often eclipses the subtle, enduring effort these revelations demand for integration, balance, to cherish the mystical, while grounding insights into daily practice is where true enlightenment resides. As seekers, entangled in the chase for enlightenment, entwine perfection within their endeavours, a pursuit for an idealised self untouched by flaw. Yet Jung's delicate wisdom bears perfection as a transparency stalling true growth, binding seekers to cycles of striving. In truth, enlightenment involves embracing imperfections, understanding that light and shadow coexist harmoniously. Integration of these disavowed parts of self nurtures genuine wholeness, crafted not through ceaseless improvement, but through heartfelt acceptance. The reality of enlightenment diverges unrecognisably from its portrait, demanding rigorous inner work that extends beyond reflection. Jung insists upon this courageous engagement, a traversing of inner labyrinths marked by fears, shadows, desires, and revelations. Spiritual seekers must bridge the conscious with the unconscious, entering discomfort's territory as gateways to understanding. Here the soul refines itself through conscious integration, where realization graces true enlightenment. Amidst the quest for escape, seekers find deeper transformation, not through flight, but through an enriched commitment to life's complexities. Jung suggests that enlightenment returns seekers to the world, vision renewed by understanding. And so the mirage fades, unveiling the gentle truth. To venture inward is not an escape, but a coming home. Enlightenment is the story of becoming, not an achievement, but a gentle unfolding of wisdom, woven within the soul's fabric. As Jung reminds us, the sacred quest is a dance of light and shadow, a journey shared by countless over time, each treading the contours of their inner landscape, pursuing enlightenment's true essence. Awakening is like a gentle lantern's glow, illuminating the hidden realms of our inner landscape. It subtly lifts the veil from the layers of reality imperceptibly cloaked beneath the daily hum. Carl Jung, in his profound wisdom, likened this journey to a beacon that casts light upon the neglected corners of the psyche, the parts marooned in shadow because they didn't conform to our conscious self-image. These fragments of ourselves, the forgotten feelings, the banished impulses, are deemed unsuitable by our waking mind, yet they exercise a quiet power over our lives. As we tread deeper into enlightenment, the radiance of awareness uncovers these shadowy facets, beckoning us to an uncomfortable but essential confrontation with elements both strange and achingly familiar. Rather than showing signs of failure, the emergence of these shadows is a vital waypoint on the path to becoming whole. Each shadow encountered calls us not toward retreat, but toward embracing the entirety of our being, integrating those loose ends into the rich tapestry of our existence. Meeting these shadows demands audacity, for Jung observed that humans often twist themselves into knots to avoid glimpsing their own souls. The shadows hide behind the veils of past traumas, societal dicta, and the dreams left unchased, creating a fabric woven with threads of discomfort and old pain. To acknowledge them is to journey into a chaotic storm of one's own creation, inching through a tempest in search of the promise of order and harmony that lies in its heart. In this delicate dance, though difficult, we find ourselves transformed. By mingling our essence with our shadows, we reclaim parts of ourselves lost along the way and kindle profound growth. Each tear in the veil of illusion expands our empathy, revealing unity within our fractured self and with those who walk beside us. The shadow merges into a guide, leading us through a ceremonial rebirth where our dissolving identities unveil underlying truths. Yet the journey doesn't unfold in solitude. Rather, the world mirrors our inner landscapes, holding up surfaces that reflect our own unexplored depths. The irritations and discomforts we encounter in others often echo the shadows denied within us. Our social encounters and relationships thereby transform into fertile fields for shadow work, offering endless opportunities for insight and healing. These interactions reveal patterns like footprints left in fresh snow that signal paths toward wound and wisdom alike. The path to perceiving these signs asks for reflective pause in the thick of tension, in moments of discord, to inquire, what makes this moment bristle? What desire or fear lurks beneath? Here the external turbulence morphs into internal terrain for exploration and growth, turning friction into lighthouses guiding the way to deeper understanding. Projection unravels another of Shadow's dances, where traits and emotions we refuse to see in ourselves are painted onto others. Jung enlightened us to the notion that what we think we see in others is often our own ignorance in disguise, the danger we exile without realising it's woven into our own being. Untangling from this dance demands the gentle mirror of introspection, tracing emotional reactions back to their root within personal history. Through tools like journaling and meditation, we begin reclaiming these disowned pieces, opening a door to authentic individuality, deepening compassion while dissolving illusions of separation. In the quest to unite our many selves, integration does not seek to banish the shadows but to gather them in, transforming them from sources of shame to reservoirs of wisdom. Envisioning the inner alchemist's labour, where shadow turns to essence as lead to gold, illuminates the journey of weary seekers committed to this poetic dance. Here the seeker learns to sit quietly amidst contradictions and navigate the mystery without expecting resolution. While the world clamours for perfection, enlightenment whispers an alternative, to accept our intrinsically imperfect nature. Jung elegantly reminded us that self-awareness is ignited not by greatness, but through the tender acknowledgement of our own shadow. Our shadows remind us that we are creatures of complexity, spinning between light and dark. Awakened not by an arrival but by softly surrendering to who we are now, each present moment is cherished, each imperfection an opus. Each seeker becomes an alchemist in this endeavour, where vulnerability is the crucible from which new self-realizations rise. Embracing these variations of the self is an act of grace, dissolving walls that divide us from ourselves and forging pathways of empathy with others. In tenderly witnessed vulnerability, strength blooms, intimately entwining our human experience into a remembrance where nothing within us is forsaken, all embraced as the magnificent art of awakening unfolds. Thus, let the labyrinthine journey through shadows teach that what feels like stumbling is a sacred step in the unfolding. Our so-called failures are but tender nudges toward revelation. The shadows invite us closer to the earth of our own making, beckoning us to embrace every facet within, revealing that these moments of perceived lapse are the soul's own sacred choreography leading us home. In the shadowed realm of our psyche, identity stands as a figure cloaked in intricate narratives and carefully fashioned masks, reflecting roles born from societal norms and personal stories. Carl Jung, the gentle sage of psychological exploration, implored us to see identity not as our intrinsic truth, but a construct, woven from the threads of life's myriad roles, spun by ego's deft hands. As one embarks upon the path of spiritual awakening, this fragile tapestry begins to tear, revealing beneath it an unadorned self, raw and untouched. The ego senses an existential tremor, retreating into defense and denial to mend its crumbling world. This spiritual journey, far from the tranquil haven we imagine, disrupts the ego's vigil, allowing glimpses of the true self to whisper through the breach. Rather than gifting immediate peace, awakening strips away layers, bearing the untouched core beneath. The ego, like a guardian at the gate, stands resolute against this unveiling, wrapping us tightly within its well-known world. Fear and resistance surge like a tide, and it is here that many stumble, mistaking friction for failure. Yet, this confrontation is not a sign of inadequacy, but a dance necessary for self-realization, an unwrapping of the self, leading to rebirth. Resistance mounts, an instinctual ballet of preservation, as the seeker approaches the threshold of profound transformation. The ego clings to attachments, beliefs, roles, stories that have defined existence. Pride becomes its armour and defensiveness its sword. This is not just psychological but visceral, a rebellion against change that many misinterpret as failure rather than a herald of transformation close at hand. This fortress of pride, carefully erected, serves initially as protection, but soon transforms into a prison, obstructing the path to enlightenment. This barrier does not call for eradication, but understanding. It offers an invitation to conscious dialogue. Jung stressed the importance of patience, advocating for a tender approach toward our inner battles. The ego's resistance, paradoxically, is an invitation to introspection, a chance to transcend barriers through gentle acceptance. Pride, the silent guardian of the ego, shields from vulnerability and recognition of the fallibility of our constructed selves. In the quest for awakening, it acts as a formidable block, anchoring us to beliefs past their time. It dresses as confidence but serves to preserve familiar narratives, asking for humility as a means of growth. Embracing humility invites transformation, peeling back layers of protection and reconciling the authentic self with the ego's constructed narrative. Defensiveness, a reflexive shield, arises from fears of invalidation, a tactical response in the face of criticism or self-examination. It manifests in rebuttals and justifications, reinforcing the ego status quo and limiting growth. But in these defences lies the seed of introspective opportunity. Growth requires softening this barrier through mindfulness, dialogue and meditation, inviting the ego to release its grip, creating space for insight. In this softened state, self-awareness and empathy flourish, opening the door to transformation. Self-righteousness, another of ego's defences, fortifies the self with a rigid sense of truth, blinding it to the value of differing perspectives. This mindset of moral superiority blocks deeper connection and introspection, when a richness lies in exploring diverse insights. Overcoming this requires empathy and curiosity over judgment, recognizing others' perspectives as enriching the spiritual journey, inviting shared wisdom. As this inner voyage reaches its crescendo, the fragmented pieces align into a coherent whole, not erasing identity, but integrating it with newfound wisdom. This moment of recognition liberates the soul from fear, pride, and defensiveness, allowing it to emerge from the battleground, whole and vibrant. This crossing into recognition is liberation, aligning the self with its essence. The journey to ego's release is marked by humility and compassion, acknowledging every facet of the self, paving the way for growth. This is not an end, but a beginning, a pledge to ongoing self-inquiry. In this new dawn, ego death, the shedding of illusions, is a rebirth into clarity, no longer bound by external yarns, but resonant with intrinsic values. Here, identity is no longer fixed, but fluid, continually co-creating with the universe, rooted in authenticity. Thus, the paradox of dissolving ego and forming an authentic self unfolds, unbinding from old narratives while manifesting a fluid identity, interconnected yet unique, reflects freedom amidst uncertainty. Engaging this paradox involves discerning what aligns with the self and what to release, transforming life into an interplay of known and unknown. Compassion, then, becomes the compass for this journey, soothing transformation's wounds and welcoming resistance as a friend to understand. It invites an empathetic inquiry, meeting fear with kindness, allowing healing to materialize graciously. Beyond ego's rigid hold, nurturing rituals of reflection and balance becomes essential, embracing the cyclical rhythms of growth. Freedom found in journeying, equanimity danced with each ebb and flow. Embraced, these practices nurture a timeless harmony, as the ego's last shadow dissolves into the gentle, guiding light of the true self. In the dim corridors of spiritual exploration, the attraction to external guidance can seem like a whispered promise of salvation. When seekers find themselves amid a profound transformation, the complexity of the journey can feel overwhelming, a labyrinth without obvious exits. In such moments, the allure of charismatic figures offering enlightenment becomes a beacon in the dark. These false gurus, with their magnetic personas and promises of certainty, whisper assurances to those adrift in uncertainty and confusion, providing an illusion of safety and direction when the path feels uncertain beneath their feet. Yet, this allure often masks a seductive dependency that can cloud the heart's inner compass. Carl Jung's wisdom speaks of individuation, urging each soul to become uniquely themselves, a journey that cannot truly be guided by another's hand. When we relinquish our autonomy, yearning for validation through an external saviour, we risk the stunting of our personal growth, sidelining the rich exploration of inner truth in favour of borrowed visions. The spiritual path demands that we delve into our own psyches, where the most intimate truths reside, unfurl like hidden petals. Charismatic leaders often possess a beguiling allure, speaking with the cadence of ancient wisdom, cloaked in a presence that mesmerises those who long for answers. Their impact can be intoxicating. Their words resonate, woven like spells crafted to touch heartstrings in a symphony of perceived truths. However, deception may linger beneath the facade of charisma. Authenticity and depth are not always companions of eloquence, Often the ego craves the specialness that such leaders seem to bestow, preferring the comfort of seemingly resonant truths rather than embarking on genuine self-exploration. In learning to recognize our own projected ideals manifested in these figures, we unveil the shadow they cast. Our yearnings, fears, and deep-rooted desires project onto them, reflecting facets of our soul's landscape to be acknowledged and integrated. Jung reminds us that reclaiming these projections enriches our consciousness, drawing us closer to our inherent authenticity and power. It is a gentle, yet transformative realization that the light we seek externally carries the hues of our inner world, yearning to be embraced. In a universe brimming with uncertainty, a guru's promise of certainty can be an alluring refuge. Their offered insights seem like crystalline truths amidst life's swirling chaos. Yet, these assurances often mask an illusion, a mirage that overlooks the subjective nature of spiritual journeys. The transcendental path is woven with the threads of uncertainty and the continual weaving of new questions. This embrace of the unknown is the crucible for growth, inviting us to cultivate the courage to reside in ambiguity rather than retreat into the comfort of absolute answers. The cycle of disillusionment with once respected figures is born from witnessing the inevitable collisions between idealization and human imperfection. When the reality of fallibility surfaces, the disillusionment is a stark awakening. Yet therein lies the paradoxical potential for transformation. Jung himself saw disillusionment as an essential step in individuation, an unraveling of illusions to reveal the authentic self beneath. In releasing the confines of external dependency, we cultivate the inner resources necessary for spiritual maturation, confronting complexity in both ourselves and others, and finding liberation. Reconciliation with one's inner authority emerges as the soul's return to a sacred sanctuary. Jung's philosophy honours the innate wisdom residing within each individual, whispering through the folds of our psyche like ancient echoes. As we nurture trust in our instincts and insights, we uncover the most profound revelations, drawn from the wellspring of introspection and self-dialogue. This shift marks a profound movement from seeking answers outwardly to awakening inner clarity, a shift that lights the path back to personal sovereignty. Honouring genuine teachers remains essential, as their presence can amplify our inner wisdom when aligned with discernment and self-reliance. Their role embraces empathy and a guidance that fosters questions rather than delivering prepackaged answers. This dance of reciprocity enriches the spiritual journey, where both teacher and seeker evolve, engaging a shared discovery embedded in empowerment. In reclaiming personal sovereignty, seekers are called to embrace the totality of their being, both light and shadow, forming a harmonious union. This reclamation is a symphony of authenticity and responsibility, echoing Viktor Frankl's existential insights into meaning-making and authorship of one's spiritual story. Sovereignty is not domination, but an embrace of the complexities that shape authentic transformation, illuminating the inherent potential within every moment as a canvas for self-realization. As the seeker emerges into the light of newfound autonomy, the path transforms into a process of transmutation, turning trials and triumphs into gold. The journey is an exploration, not of rising above life's dilemmas, but integrating them within the story woven by one's soul. The lessons gleaned from the encounter with false promises serve as invaluable waypoints, fostering discernment and inner strength. Enhancing the connection, to both self and others, grounded in empathy and integrity. This sacred odyssey, an eternal dialogue with one's depths, reveals spiritual maturity as a lifelong practice. In this endlessly unfolding story, seekers weave narratives of personal empowerment, contributing to the collective tapestry of consciousness, a testament to the dance between vulnerability and strength, silence and truth, shadow and light. In the serene journey of spiritual awakening, unresolved pain acts as a silent, heavy anchor, tethering the soul in place, denying it the ascent toward understanding and peace. This lingering pain, a ghost of bygone traumas or griefs unspoken, crafts a shadowed narrative that invisibly colours every spiritual encounter. Carl Jung too wove tales of these shadows, those forgotten facets of our psyche, influencing our behaviours from clandestine recesses. Many embark upon their soul's journey, dreaming of escape, believing enlightenment to be a swift balm for their woes. Yet without facing these shadows, they loop endlessly, returning to the same sorrow they yearn to transcend. This pain seeps into their beings as fear, anger, bitterness or despair, casting its hue upon the canvas of their spiritual concepts and experiences. The elusive horizon is obscured, distorted by unresolved sorrows that could, if acknowledged, illuminate the path ahead. These unhealed wounds have a voice, a powerful whisper that shapes the pathways of one's quest for truth. Spiritual teachings speak of obstacles, often pointing fingers at these shadowy figures residing within, painful memories scheming to thwart growth. Psychological resilience falters where such shadows loom, for they overshadow insights with echoes of past hurts. Many seekers, aware of their inner turmoil, shy away, trapped in a paradox where attempting to sidestep pain only deepens its hold. The real wisdom here whispers that pain fades not through evasion but by acceptance. The journey, unexpected in its simplicity and challenge, begins upon this truth as acceptance. One must face and engage with one's pain before transformation can blossom. Repressed trauma, silent and potent, disrupts the spiritual terrain like a dormant volcano, suddenly igniting without warning. Hidden in the depths, these distressful memories shape actions, reactions, and beliefs unseen. The words of Freud and Jung intertwine here, suggesting that what remains unconscious predestines itself to unfold externally. Such trauma can weave its web into one's awakening, manifesting as self-sabotaging loops where old wounds resurface, demanding voice and acknowledgement. It becomes the unseen antagonist, pulling the seeker away from their transcendental escape. Trauma, heavy and persistent, warps perceptions, sways decisions and alters self-images. Often underestimated, its impact bleeds into spiritual realms, leading seekers to a plateau, stuck unaware of how past wounds bind them. These scars taint narratives, muddling clarity and discernment. The defensive mind raises barriers, denial, projection, repression, as shields thought to provide refuge. Yet true refuge lies not in fortification, but in dissolution. The spiritual quest, often mistaken for mere transcendence, demands confrontations with hidden pains for genuine transformation. In bringing these traumas into the light of consciousness, their grip loosens, igniting the alchemy of renewal and fostering authentic growth. Unprocessed grief laces itself into the spiritual tapestry, enshrouding the seeker's view. This unseen grief acts as a weight, muffling the spirit and the brightness of awakening. It emerges as a persistent sense of loss or emptiness, misunderstood as mere sadness. When unaddressed, grief weaves shadows of lost potentials and spiritual discontent, It whispers beneath the surface, casting a pall over joys and perceptions. As Jung so profoundly stated, unacknowledged grief turns into inner hauntings, expressing themselves through dreams, projections, or elusive fears. A seeker may carry this grief unknowingly, wondering why peace eludes and joy fades. To heal, they must embrace grief's weight and allow it to voice its wisdom, an insight into life's transient, sacred nature. In its raw state, grief disrupts spiritual paths, emitting an anguish that stirs skepticism, cynicism, and despair. The journey becomes a tug-of-war between grasping and releasing, fearing resolution as abandonment of what was cherished. Yet, deep within grief lies transformative potential. Confronting it directly turns scars into symbols of resilience instead of obscured wounds. Through conscious engagement, grief teaches the art of release, not through force of will, but through reconciliation's natural flow. This gentle letting go nurtures freedom and paints the awakening landscape with acceptance and love, shifting grief from burden to gateway to profound spiritual truths. The allure of transcendence tempts seekers with promises of liberation beyond earthly woes. Yet, Jung warns that real awakening does not escape reality, but rather embodies it in full. Transcendence becomes illusory when spiritual practices are deployed as veils, rising above unresolved pains without engagement. This evasion orbits in a cycle of temporary ease and relentless struggle, leaving lingering burdens unchecked. The celestial dance of true awakening dismantles this duality, integrating shadow and light, suffering and serenity into an inseparable whole. Through embracing this unity, the seeker feels the embrace of authentic liberation, finding harmony amidst life's chaos. Authentic growth demands we recognize unresolved pains, not as burdens but transformative teachers. True transcendence emerges not as an escape from suffering, but from transforming it into wisdom. This grounded approach, integrating highs with lows, allows for growth, weaves light into darkness, and enriches the soul's expansive journey. In the quiet shadows of our spiritual journey lies a subtle enchantment, spiritual bypassing, a term woven by the insightful John Wellwood. This gentle deception offers a pathway adorned with spiritual ideas, enticing us to sidestep the thorny brambles of unresolved emotions and lingering wounds. Like a gentle balm, it promises solace by soothing the surface, while below, the tumultuous seas of the unconscious remain uncharted. Carl Jung, that sage of the psyche, beckons us to venture deeper, to recall that true integration requires embracing our shadow, the unacknowledged parts of our soul. The allure of bypassing whispers promises of peace and transcendence, crafting a fragile illusion of progress. In time, this fragile edifice may crumble, revealing a foundation unsteady and wanting. We are reminded of the necessity to confront what lies beneath, ensuring our spiritual journey is not an evanescent escape, but a profound engagement with the profound depths of our being. Alongside these spiritual whispers, mantras rise and fall, sacred sounds meant to elevate us, aligning heartbeats with cosmic rhythms. Yet, if employed merely to hush our inner voices, they become sirens, distracting rather than guiding. Mantras should invite us to dance with our shadows, not cast them aside like forgotten echoes. Their true power unfurls when used to delve deeper, transforming sound into a bridge between consciousness and the undiscovered self. Rituals too stand as eternal sentinels, their structures built upon the stories of ancients. They promise connection to the divine, yet can become hollow performances if not infused with true intent. When approached as superficial acts, these rituals become like empty vessels, echoing symbols without substance. But when dipped in vulnerability and reflection, rituals turn into mirrors reflecting the intricate dance of our shadows. Much like rituals, meditation offers a sanctuary, a silent pause in the cacophony of life. But beware the temptation to use this sacred silence to flee the discomforts that echo within. True meditation invites us to dive into the depths, where the waters of consciousness stir their secrets. It is a passageway meant not for escape, but for a deeper, fuller embrace of our layered selves. In our haste, the temptation of quick fixes beckons, a mirage promising enlightenment's embrace with minimal toil. These ephemeral solutions tantalize with their brevity, offering a fleeting satisfaction, akin to fast food for the soul. Yet real growth unfurls like a slow blossoming flower, through patience and the courage to confront the shadows within. Our modern world, bustling and eager for positivity, sometimes shuns the darker hues of the emotional spectrum. This relentless quest for optimism may gloss over the shadows that yearn to be known. In embracing only the light, a shallow spirituality emerges, leaving the richness of human experience unexplored. True growth welcomes the full tapestry, woven with both light and shadow, colour and void. Vulnerability, that gentle opening of the soul, contrasts the armour of spiritual bypass. It is the tender bravery of revealing those parts we wish to shroud in darkness. In forsaking bypass and choosing vulnerability, we engage with our deepest selves, fostering a fertile ground for healing and transformation. Vulnerability beckons us to shed our masks, letting authenticity guide our journey beyond the soft snares of bypass. Balancing transcendence and immanence becomes a dance, a delicate weaving where spirituality embraces both the ethereal and the earthly. To transcend, while grounded in the here and now, enriches our journey, binding the threads of human frailty with divine aspiration. In unity, these aspects craft a spirituality that dances between realms, fully engaged with the sacredness of every lived moment. Ultimately, the song of the spiritual path is one of integration, where all experiences, shadow and light, meld into a harmonious whole. This eternal journey is an artful tapestry, one that calls for resilience as we mindfully stitch together the varied expressions of our being. Integration invites us to listen to the full symphony of our existence, moving away from evasion and into a state of graceful acceptance. The path is no mere escape, it is an intricate converse with the entirety of who we are. Integration demands an embrace of our complete self, as spirituality becomes a vibrant engagement with life's rich and textured reality. It is here in this dynamic tapestry that spiritual and psychological truths converge, guiding us into a profound union, a dance of light and shadow, vibrant and whole. In the quiet chambers of the soul, the tapestry of identity hangs, a complex weave of experiences, beliefs and roles that we clutch like sacred artifacts. Our lives knit themselves around this narrative, a script we perform, finding comfort in its familiarity. These constructs define us, tracing the lines of who we are, whom we cherish, and what we hold dear. Yet beneath this woven veneer lies an uncharted realm, a vast potential beckoning to be unravelled. Our identities, though they anchor us, often confine, drawing boundaries that shield us from the expansive unknown. Here lies the invitation to transformation, if only we dare to listen. Jung, a cartographer of the psyche, suggested that genuine spiritual awakening demands a radical metamorphosis, a profound dissolution of the known self. Entering this uncharted territory, we feel an ancient primal trepidation, a tremor echoing through our being. The existential question arises whispering, "Who am I without my identity?" This curious inquiry challenges the very core of our perceived existence. While the familiar promises safety, it whispers of stagnation, keeping the soul in patterned cycles that stifle authentic growth. But on the precipice of the unknown, letting go unveils an unbounded potential, like a soul set free from ancient chains. Our sense of self feigns groundedness, a psychological construct interwoven with societal expectations, cultural norms, and personal triumphs. We bind ourselves to these moorings, like ships tethered to a seabed, believing they bring direction amidst life's currents. Yet this stability is often an illusion, an enticing mirage. Many refuse to gaze beneath the surface, for fear of losing the illusion of this stability. However, in clinging to these bindings, we close the door to deeper introspection and transformation. Jung, in his wisdom, taught that shedding the false self unveils the vast territory of the unconscious, a realm just waiting to be explored. Embracing this cosmic void is an invitation to discover a deeper, more authentic grounding, not fixed in static definitions, but fluid, serene, and aligned with the true essence of being. At the heart of spiritual transformation lies ego death, a journey through fear, emptiness, and uncharted vulnerability. It represents the dissolution of identity, the boundaries blurring into a dance of rebirth. Here, courage is called upon, a heart willing to embrace the dissolving old self, inviting the unshaped new. The false facade of identity crumbles, reborn as an authentic, purpose-driven self, free from constraints imposed by society and ego. In shedding the weight of the constructed self, one finds profound liberation, a return to a more primal, true essence. Traversing the abyss, this void evokes a profound sense of dread. Familiar landmarks fade, leaving one to float in an ocean of uncertainty and endless possibility. Yet, here lies the richest soil for growth. Recognizing this abyss not as empty but as a fertile ground for transformation invites a more profound exploration of the psyche's hidden corners. Facing the chasms within demands resilience and acknowledgement of fears that arise, fleeting phantoms of the ego's resistance. This journey shatters old identities, creating space for an authentic self to emerge from its deepest depths. In this cosmic waltz, detachment becomes an art, a delicate balance between holding and releasing identities' defining factors. Acknowledge the narratives and roles shaping us, while understanding their transient nature. Detachment doesn't mean abandoning the self. It's about dancing gracefully with the intrinsic essence lying beyond superficial labels. This shift requires questioning and transcending outdated patterns that no longer serve our awakening journey. Through such practices, we cultivate adaptability and clarity, illuminating our true nature's vivid colours. Beneath the fear of lost identity lies unexamined shadows, repressed desires and insecurities exerting their silent influence. Here, shadow integration becomes the path to true realization. Jungian psychology guides us to confront these elements with honesty and compassion, threading them back into the fabric of our being for a more balanced, whole self. This process, though filled with discomfort, dissolves shadow's power, integrating them into the light of awareness, and paving the way for genuine liberation and reawakening. Amidst this transformation, courage is our beacon, guiding us through stormy seas of uncertainty. True courage is embracing vulnerability, seeing illusions for what they are, and choosing to venture deeper with an open heart. It's this unyielding spirit that carries us through the fear, propelling us toward growth and an authentic life. The darkness lit by courage illuminates the path of self-discovery, transcending fear and unlocking transformation. Mystery, a timeless enigma, lies beyond familiar boundaries, calling us to surrender. Embracing this leads to growth and a deeper connection to life's currents, inviting exploration and introspection. By relinquishing control and certainty, new possibilities unfold. Embracing the enigma becomes a sacred journey, a balance of surrender and curiosity that nurtures profound understanding and awakening. Within the journey of spiritual awakening, dissolving identity reveals freedom, a liberation to explore new dimensions. Shedding ego constraints unveils potential, not in escaping self, but immersing in true essence. This paradoxical freedom is fluid, embracing life's richness when limiting beliefs dissolve, bringing authentic presence and a deeper connection to the moment. It becomes an interplay that thrums with vibrancy, inviting us to embrace life anew, soul and spirit in harmonious dance. Ultimately, rebirth sings through surrender, a transformation marked by letting go of control, embracing the unfolding mysteries of life. Here, peace resides among uncertainties, a beauty in being present. This rebirth aligns with the soul's essence, bringing authenticity and a deeper connection to being. Through surrender, fear of losing the self dissolves, revealing infinite possibilities beyond, and the profound joy of living in true harmony with our essence. In the quiet dance of our lives, we wear masks crafted with care, each one telling a different story, each hiding the tender skin beneath. These masks are our shields, protecting us from the judgment we fear, even as they obscure the raw, exquisite vulnerability of our true selves. Yet Carl Jung, with his profound insight into the psyche, knew that real awakening required courage, a willingness to stand naked before the mirror of our own truth, stripped of deceit and pretense. As we begin to peel away these masks, a quiet defiance emerges within us, urging us to confront the shadows that have lingered too long in denial's embrace. In the silence of unguarded moments, we face the spectres of hypocrisy, envy, and rage that thrive in the dark, taking root in our unconscious. Radical honesty is our torch, illuminating these hidden corners, casting gentle light upon the secrets held tightly in the perfumed folds of denial. This act of honesty is not about punishment, but liberation, a gentle surrender to the entirety of our being, free from judgment. Self-deception is a tale we tell ourselves, a cloak woven from the delicate threads of half-truths. It masquerades as stability, wrapping us in its familiar embrace. Yet the journey toward individuation, that wondrous path to wholeness, asks us to unravel these complexities. It is an unweaving, a wandering through a terrain littered with emotional traps, shelters of false beliefs designed to protect our fragile egos. These beliefs, so solid in their illusion, melt away under the light of radical honesty, shadows fading against the walls of Plato's cave, inviting us to step into the sunlight of genuine awakening. Vulnerability, often mistaken as weakness, reveals its true form as strength only through its embrace. In the act of exposing our depths, we uncover the sacred rite of passage, inherent in the human experience, a release of all pretense, casting our fears and failures into the fertile soil of self-acceptance. In this radical openness, we find the delicate balance of honesty, admitting to ourselves the truths we've hidden, even from our own hearts. This surrender becomes the bedrock upon which authentic transformation stands, offering empowerment and resilience drawn from the depths of living truthfully. Our shadows, those rejected fragments of self, dwell in the unseen realms of our psyche, reflections of the traits we deny. However, these shadows hold a mirror up to our identities, inviting us to explore the interplay of light and darkness within us. Engaging with these shadows requires courage, for they challenge us to reclaim the parts of ourselves that we've been taught to despise. Within this confrontation lies the catalyst for growth, a reconciliation leading to a richer, more complete understanding of who we are, free from the tyranny of perceived perfection. Imperfect in our humanity, we discover liberation not in the pursuit of unattainable ideals, but in the acceptance of our flawed nature. Jung understood this paradox well. The journey toward wholeness is a dismantling of perfection's pedestal. Each scar, each fault, becomes a thread in the tapestry of our lives, a testament to resilience and growth. In letting go of judgment, in nurturing gentleness and compassion, we allow our true selves to emerge, imperfect yet beautifully whole, existing peacefully alongside our aspirations. Turning inward, we are invited on a dialogue with the unconscious, a vast, mysterious realm, holding dreams and desires, fears and echoes from our past. Radical honesty guides this exploration, shedding light on the stories woven from our experiences. It is an openness to the language of our psyche, an inquiry into the symbols and archetypes that emerge from our depths. This dialogue unveils the wisdom of the unconscious, setting in motion a process of self-discovery, where conscious and unconscious intertwine to reveal the essence of our being. The path of radical honesty is not without its fears. It beckons us into the chasm of self-discovery, away from the comforting narratives that define us. Yet it is fearless confrontation that paves the way for true awakening. Jung saw this journey as an eternal quest, a continuous unfolding that brings us closer to our authentic selves. In the courage to embrace the unknown, the fear transforms into guidance, a beacon illuminating the rich, unexplored territories of our potential and power. Amidst the world's clamour for validation, radical honesty liberates us from the need for approval. Anchoring our self-worth within, we sever the bonds of external judgment, cultivating authenticity and self-respect. As we welcome our truths, a new relationship with the self is born, one grounded in integrity and aligned with our deepest values, free from the chains of societal expectation. In this sacred practice, shadow integration arises, not from fear or misunderstanding, but through a space of acceptance. Every part of us, once hidden away, becomes a cherished ally in our journey toward wholeness. This harmonious integration reveals profound insights, exploring our completeness with tenderness and understanding. Radical honesty transforms our experience, knitting together scattered fragments of our psyche, harmonizing and awakening us to the profound story of our being, where the spirit flourishes unbound. In the quiet space between breaths, spiritual awakening unfurls not as a singular, blinding epiphany, but as a gentle blossom enveloped in the rhythm of time. Many seekers approach it expecting a bolt of enlightenment to forever transform their being. Yet this expectation is but a mirage. The true path to integration is akin to the unhurried blooming of a flower, patiently nurtured day by day. These delicate moments of persistent practice, seemingly mundane, hold the essence of profound transformation, like seeds nestled beneath the soil, awaiting their time to grow. Our journey is not marked by finality or a sudden escape from suffering to peace. Rather, it is a lifelong commitment etched into the fabric of our existence. Jung teaches that the ego's yearning for completion, a single moment when enough has been achieved, is an illusion. Each accomplished stage uncovers yet another layer of the self, beckoning us to explore. Such is the inexhaustible trek of personal evolution, one that changes our perception to see transformation as an ongoing dance without a finale. This journey calls for humility, urging us to face both the light that warms our hearts and the shadows demanding our compassion. Spiritual integration is the art of holding these opposing forces within the cradle of our consciousness, for it is in their tension that we find harmony. As we peer into these complexities, an authentic understanding of ourselves emerges, a compassionate lens through which we view both our frailties and our magnificence. The night often envelops us in a darkness that feels as eternal as the stars, drawing us into what many call the dark night of the soul. Yet, these are not mere trials, but essential reckonings, surrendering illusions to awaken deeper truths. Just as the night gives way to dawn, darkness births clarity, laying a path paved with the resilience cultivated through our trials. These experiences are not the spectres of despair, but whispers of impending transformation. Awakening seeps into the body, which must not be forgotten in the integration of spirit and mind. Our bodies, vessels carrying the weight of untold stories and emotions, call for harmony in the songs of awakening. Through mindful movement and breath, insights anchor into the physical realm, grounding ethereal revelations in the tangible present. By honouring our physicality, we embrace an embodied journey, allowing intuition to guide and inform our deepening awareness. Daily rituals quietly weave sacredness into the ordinary, transforming our lives into a rich tapestry of meaning. Engaging in mindful practices like meditation or journaling becomes a daily pilgrimage, binding spiritual growth to endless cycles of renewal. Each small ritual reinforces the continuity of our commitment, creating sanctuaries of stability amidst the swirling currents of transformation. On this path, we find ourselves suspended between solitude and community, where each offers its own sacred teaching. Communities cradle us in shared wisdom, amplifying our understanding through collective experiences. They reflect our growth, offering new insights into our shared human story. Yet solitude provides the sacred silence needed to truly hear our inner dialogue, a space to hold our essence without distraction. In crafting a personal mythology, we shape the narrative that cradles our life's journey. Jung believed that myths serve as profound guides, offering structure and meaning to our experience. As you identify recurring symbols and archetypes, let them guide you through the intricate patterns of your inner world, crafting a story that resonates deeply with your soul's journey. The path of integration weaves through the dance of surrender and control, demanding a graceful balance between steering our destiny and releasing ourselves to life's mysteries. Both forces are brimming with transformative potential. Control carves pathways through intention, while surrender opens space for the miraculous and unforeseen. Ultimately, this path calls us toward wholeness, a gathering of our fragments into an authentic, unified self. Jung spoke of individuation, where shadow and light are embraced as facets of our enigmatic humanity. This is not a binary dance of good and evil, but a harmonious blend of both, inviting us into a mindful embrace of imperfections, and through this embrace, to extend love and understanding into the world. As we embody our wholeness, we find our place as co-creators in a compassionate, ever-evolving tapestry of life, aligning our personal journey with a collective call towards greater consciousness. In the pursuit of spiritual awakening, the journey is often seen as ascending towards an ethereal realm of peace and perfection. However, as Carl Jung profoundly observed, true awakening's not an elevation, but a descent, a return to our raw, unfiltered humanity. By embracing our intricate human nature, a tapestry woven with joy, grief, resilience, and vulnerability, we begin the essential work of unbinding the shadow, not as an adversary, but as a cherished part of ourselves. This descent invites us to face inevitable truths, flaws, pains, and imperfections we've hidden, even from ourselves. Here we rediscover the essence of humanity, a paradoxical dance of light and dark where our deepest fears nurture our greatest growth. As the layers of illusion fall away, we encounter a brutal yet profound lesson. Enlightenment does not exempt us from being human, but immerses us fully within it. Embracing this journey demands courage, a willingness to stand unadorned before the mirror of truth. It requires acknowledging that suffering is part of the sacred whole, and through it, we refine our understanding. In accepting chaos as an inevitable part of life, we find moments of clarity amid the turmoil. In dwelling in our humanity, we ascend towards spiritual potential. The shadow in Jungian psychology evokes fear and resistance. It symbolises disowned parts of ourselves, traits and desires we've been conditioned to reject. True awakening compels us to integrate this shadow through arduous journeys into our darkest corridors. By confronting these unacknowledged aspects, we embark on a transformative path to self-awareness and healing, understanding that the shadow harbours both fear and potential for enlightenment. Just as the lotus blooms in murky waters, this journey involves embracing and transcending darkness and ignorance. Throughout history, myths portray heroes venturing into underworlds before emerging transformed, symbolising our psychological process. To achieve inner harmony, we must courageously face our personal underworlds, engaging with emotions like envy and despair. In doing so, we create space for healing and transformation, unraveling psychological truths and unlocking personal growth. This is not isolation, but a dance with solitude, a sacred space inviting reflection, revealing inner desires, fears, and reconciliations. From this communion, sovereignty emerges, a deep-seated sense of self-worth and inner authority, unmoved by external validation. It shifts power recognition to the sovereign within, eliminating reliance on external influences. In navigating the sacred terrain of solitude, sovereignty becomes a grounding force, rooted in understanding and compassion. It empowers healthy boundaries and affirms values, granting the strength for authentic and meaningful interactions. Through sovereignty, we embody liberation, a journey away from societal constraints, standing whole and connected with the world's broader tapestry. All the while, rituals of inner alchemy guide us, transformative conduits, refining our raw humanity into enlightened consciousness. These practices, no matter how simple, hold profound power. In intention and repetition, rituals like journaling, meditation, and breathwork become sacred containers, fostering the interplay of light and shadow, strength and vulnerability. They become touchstones, anchoring us amid life's chaos and uncovering deeper currents beneath life's surface. Engagement with these rituals unfolds a brutal lesson. Transformation demands discipline and patience, choosing awareness over avoidance. Acknowledgement and transformation of the shadow harmonize with illuminated aspects. This delicate symmetry, akin to cosmic choreography, elicits subtle, profound shifts. Each moment aligns disparate parts into a cohesive symphony, releasing an organic force from within that grounds and transcends. Integration becomes a serene acknowledgement of our whole selves, discovering power through acceptance, gratitude, and conscious choice. Detachment, often misunderstood as aloofness, reveals itself as an essential spiritual dance, a balance between holding on and letting go, engaging intimately while remaining uninhibited. Jung described it as an artful surrender from immediate identifications, transcending fixed thoughts, beliefs and expectations. This form of detachment, far from being cold, is an embrace of reality's ever-shifting flow, understanding that true power lies in riding life's waves with grace. While the desire for reattachment is natural, the lesson deepens the existential understanding of our transitory nature. Our selves and experiences weave a continuum of change, joy, and peace derived from presence, not possession. This dance highlights the liberation nestled within embracing change, inviting us back to an intrinsic rhythm of life. Through these realizations, true awakening cultivates a perpetual rediscovery of our unique place in life's evolving tapestry. As a soft world formed around the listener, with words settles into a gentle conclusion, it invites reflection and engagement. The viewer is heartfully asked to like and subscribe, carrying the essence of this journey into more shared awakenings.